What is up, everybody? I'm No Lux Given, and today we're playing the Headless Horseman. I kept the hero selection screen in there because I don't typically play Headless Horseman. Wanted you guys to see the other options. By the way, I am already mythic for the month of January. You can see I'm not yet in this video. This was recorded about 2 weeks ago, so I'm not mythic in this video, but did still hit mythic. I'm still trying to hit it every month just for fun at this point. So I figured we'd take a look at Headless Horseman today, or Hatless Horseman, as I'm calling it, because Headless is so good with mages. Just Wizard's Familiar, it's already a 5/5 after I cast this free roll, and Cindy is basically already activated, and that's because I've got 3 free spells with these kidnaps in your opening hand, and I think this is a really fantastic way to even further abuse Headless Horseman, and then obviously the kidnaps are going to give you some additional econ. By the way, there is a visual kind of bug, and because I don't play Headless Horseman that often, I'm just kind of like messing around with it to see what happens there, but you can it looks like you can still cast the kidnaps even after you've already played a spell for the turn, but you aren't actually able to play them. So we're going to see me do that again here. I think you can recast each kidnap once each turn, though like I said, you're not actually casting them. You can still only play 1 spell per turn. I wasn't sure if at some point they, because Zippy the Zombie and not Krampus, Rumpelstiltskin, you can cast additional spells after you cast their hero power spells, though Headless Horseman you can't, and that's specifically so that you can't just fire off all 3 kidnaps in one turn and then you're like a better the Fates or Gwen or something like that. It would just be a weird angle to play. So can't do that. Anyways, back to the game. We steal a Polywoggle from Pied Piper. There are a few heroes that are good to kidnap against, and I think that that's always kind of fun to pay attention to. We're kidnapping here against Cursed King, which is generally a pretty strong hero. Pied Piper is good because they've got +1/+1 on their animals. There I go, just kidnapping again. But some other heroes that are good in the early game, Merlin, which is going to have bonus stats on their heroes. Now, the one thing that is awkward about that is we get very lucky here, and this is a terrible example or time to bring this up. Typically, you are not going to be able to kidnap your opponent's best unit. Now, we're able to steal their triple happy little tree here, which is just fantastic. And we even get to go a little bit further than that this turn because this Candy Rain hits the Stag, the Mad Mim, the Friendly Spirit, and the Happy Little Tree. That's +4/+4 for 0 and +5 because it's also giving Wizard's Familiar some bonus stats, and it's taking down Cinderella. So one of the best Candy Rains that I've ever cast for sure. And one of the best kidnaps, being able to steal that happy little tree from the Cursed King, is extremely powerful. Now, we are down towards the bottom of this lobby right now with 29 health, but I still think we're in a fantastic position. We've got a Polywoggle that we've got cooking. We've got the Friendly Spirit that we just Polywoggled into, so that's going to be a nice large unit for us. Now, unfortunately, the Polywoggle is not able to slay. That's my favorite emote to use when Polywoggle fails to slay there. So we got a little bit unlucky, but we were still able to win the combat. So overall, I think that we are looking really sharp here. I'm going to wind up Mix-a-Whizzling, though maybe should have Mix-a-Whizzled like the Lonely Prince or something, because we're going to be picking up both of these good witches this turn. I thought that that pair seemed pretty good to pick up. I just realized it a little bit too late. And then Robin Wood can actually allow us to activate Polywoggle. It's a little bit awkward because it's 3.2, but we might as well try to activate Polywoggle, and that's partially why I picked up the Hermes sandals as well. That'll make it easier for Polywoggles to activate. Now, we won't have this Robin Wood in future turns. Oh, and I'm going to flip those stags as well, so that way the one with more health is double supported, and we have some chance of allowing a second stag to attack with the Hermes sandals as well. And we actually do get it to attack, so pretty nice. I mean, the flip-flop didn't actually wind up mattering there. But what is cool is we deny Loki some bonus XP. We get a free unit there from the kidnap, that's right. So much going on here. And this is a really, really strong board for 4.0. In fact, I think we can win this Wish Upon a Star, despite being, well, now we're actually in third place, so now we're doing pretty good. I'm going to pick up the Good Witch, looking for a treasure map before we Wish Upon a Star, and we just get extremely, extremely lucky there with the treasure map pickup. So now, I think we should be able to win this combat. I'm going to try to put, try to order this board the best that we possibly can, and I think that that's going to involve double supporting a friendly spirit and not really worrying as much about the stag, and then supporting the Happy Little Tree as well. There is one other way that we could order this. We could put Happy Little Tree into 5, Wizard's Familiar into 1, and then the stag into slot 2. That could have also been pretty reasonable for us here. Either way, I think that we are plenty powerful enough that we were going to win this one, though, which is great, because now we are level 5, and now we can look for level 5 characters to grab a level 7 treasure. And that's what I thought the plan was, but it's kind of tough to pick up, or to pass up, rather, Friendly Spirit here. This still gives us a tier 6 treasure, which can still be very powerful, or not powerful at all if we just decide to pick up Mimic Chest, which is ultimately what I'm going to go for. But I thought that the Friendly Spirit itself, the upgraded Friendly Spirit, was just enough that it was worth going for. Now, I think that there is some consideration there for 9th Book of Merlin. We actually have a few mages right now. Our entire bench is mages, and there was that second Wizard's Familiar in the shop. And I was kind of on the fence, and then I found the crystal ball, and then I'm like, okay, well, now we're going back into mages again. So kind of makes me wish that I had the 9th Book of Merlin, but you know, I was kind of just taking the mages for early game strength, and then by that I really just mean the Wizard's Familiar. I wasn't planning on playing mages. I was planning on playing, you know, whatever I found myself into, but now we found ourselves in mages. So we've got the Crystal Ball, we've got the Hermes Boots. That's going to be really well for Aeon if we are able to find one of those. So that's going to be our main priority, though there is going to be a little bit of a wrinkle in this. I'm going to find another Wizard's Familiar, and I have the opportunity to pick up a Boiling Beaker. And I think this lets us make a little bit better use of the Mimic Chest that we currently have. So I am going to grab that Mimic, or that Boiling Beaker, and Mimic Chest that, and just have that be a ton of stats for us. And still looking to find Aeon next turn. That'll be 5.2, and I think we can get Aeon pretty large pretty quickly, but I thought that this was a better mages setup, even if it means that our Aeon is slightly less likely to slay, because we don't have those Hermes sandals to activate it super easily. So potentially a little bit risky, potentially some more upside or something, though, from playing it like this. And I think that we're pretty strong, so we can afford to be a little bit riskier and go for some high roll strategies here. That's the idea. Happy Little Tree is going to trade with a Rotten Applewood, and then Friendly Spirit's going to make our Good Witch in the back line have a bunch of stats, which just barely allows it to survive and take over the game. I am going to grab Baba Yaga on my quest to look for an Aeon here. We're pretty low on gold, and despite that, we are actually going to be able to make pretty good use of this turn. Initially, I lock onto Aeon, and I'm just about to cast a Shard of the Ice Queen here, before realizing I can sell both of these golden chickens, pick up the Aeon, and then cast Shard of the Ice Queen, and then cast Lucky Coin, and even some more spells. And I'm going to sell off some spells in my hand to continue to cast spells onto Aeon. I'm going to sell off one more of my characters right now. Let's get rid of the stag so we can cast one more thing. I'm going to unlock and lock the shop real quick first, so that way I can lock onto the 2 spells that I want, and I don't have to lock onto this Wish Upon a Star. But Aeon, now up to 31 attack, despite the fact that I didn't even think I was going to be able to pick it up this turn. So Aeon's able to find the slay. That is a 2 out of 3 chances to slay there. So pretty good odds to slay. And we are even going to have the stats to win this combat and take out my opponent's prized pick. So really, really good stuff here. Aeon grabs the slay. So now Aeon is all of my spells are 2 cheaper this turn, and we're going to be able to send Aeon to the moon with the fact that anytime we cast a spell on it, it's also getting an additional +4/+4 from that Mimic Chest Boiling Beaker. So 46 already, absolutely crazy. I'm going to pick up a baby dragon and feed that to the Kraken. Still a little bit of nerves when I see feed the Kraken, but we're able to get her done here. Then I'm going to finish this turn off by picking up a Hercules and looking to find a tier 6 treasure to potentially go along with the Mimic Chest that we have been rocking. Hercules is a little bit underpowered here at only 32 attack. Nothing I can do about that. Just got to give it as many stats as we possibly can. Maybe the Friendly Spirit will land on it or something, but for the most part, we're just looking to activate Hercules here in 4. It's still good to give it some bonus attack just in case some weird stuff happens to it, like Robin Woods or other things like that going on. But Hercules is going to miss the 50-50 attack into Scion of the Storm, and I think we wind up taking a little bit of damage here. Oh, this one's really, really close. We go back and forth for a second with the happy little tree. Ultimately, though, we take 7 against the second place player in the lobby. Still sitting in first place, though, and sitting pretty. And this turn, we're going to look to activate that Hercules. And right now, I'm eyeing up this Knighthood, obviously, but if we Knighthood the Hercules, it still won't activate in 1 hit. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to throw the Knighthood on the Aeon. Maybe could have also Knighthooded the Baba Yaga. I think that could have been reasonable as well. And then we could have played 2 different Aeons, which would have had the capacity to slay and discount our shot by 4. But either way, or not 4, because it's triple, so 6. No, 3. But yeah, Hercules does have the capacity to activate this turn if it can get in 2 hits. And then Aeon is looking really good. Just going to finish off the turn with the roll the die after I cast that Knighthood. And overall feeling pretty good about our positioning here. My opponent with some ranged characters and a Rotten Applewood, but Hercules is able to dodge all of that and activate in 1 turn here, 2 turns total, and give us a tier 6 treasure. So it's pretty hard to pass up Pandora's Box. I would have loved to grab that 9th Book of Merlin and make up for passing it earlier, but Pandora's Box is also extremely exciting. So I'm happy to pick that one up, and then just going to wind up finishing off the turn by casting a few more spells, and we got a lot still to go, still 9 gold. Wind up True Love's Kissing the Hercules into a Bear Stain. Not super impressive, and then I'm just going to cast as many spells as possible onto Aeon. We'll flip over the Sleeping Princess now that we've flipped the Hercules into Bear Stain. Then we'll burn Aeon's palms off and feed that Sleeping Princess to the Kraken before casting a few more spells. Still have 8 gold. Despite all the spells that we've cast, we still have a bunch of spells to go. And with time ticking down and an Empress P in the store, I just decided to grab that. We have 2 supports already, and so I figured this might be a good supplemental unit to add to the board, and then I'll finish off the turn with a Candy Rain. Empress P is also really powerful for us here. If we get Mirror Mirror or something off of the Pandora's Box, really just Mirror Mirror. Honestly, I mostly just picked it up because we were running out of time and running out of gold towards the end of the turn. My opponent's board here is really strong with Singing Sword plus Pumpkin and some Big Pigs, but we've got just enough health on the Sporko to survive and see what's inside Pandora's Box, and it's not actually the best roll for us. We get Excalibur, which isn't super exciting. We could pick up like a Spellweaver or something here, but I think the best option is to just roll for Scions of the Storm. Those are going to be absolutely massive at this point because of just how many spells we've cast this game. I am finally going to Shard of the Ice Queen, our happy little tree that we stole super early on, and then I'm also going to Shard that Empress P, get that out of there. Now we've got a game plan. I know what we're looking to do. Kind of missing the Boiling Beaker here, but I am happy enough to pick up an upgraded Scion of the Storm, and then I'll finish off the turn by picking up a Pigomorph. I did miss the Stone Skin that's in the shop all the way on the other side of the screen, but that's okay. I'm happy enough to Pigomorph. That's kind of like the end game goal when you're playing these mage builds with the Hat Ball and my opponent has the same idea here, but they also have slightly smaller mages, so we are going to be able to grab the win and the kill onto Cursed King, which puts us into the top 3. Game is almost over here, still have a little bit to go. We're missing a tree now, so we cannot flourish, or whatever flourish is now called, just to be able to cast that spell, so that part is unfortunate, but all the other spells we should have no problem casting. And I wind up casting some spells onto Friendly Spirit. I maybe should have been doing that earlier, but I figured any spells that we put on Friendly Spirit are going to give us double the stats once it dies, and Aeon doesn't really need more stats. So I thought this was a good idea, though it's also awkward because Friendly Spirit is the next character that's going to get cut from this board, and we find another Scion of the Storm in the next shop, and if we were to pick up this Scion of the Storm, I'm actually going to wind up rolling past it just because we already have 7 good characters right now. So I guess that is another way to play it, that like we could just keep this board, and that's honestly probably the better play. I should bring that up. We should just be using all of our gold at this point to cast as many spells as possible, casting a whole bunch of spells during the turn and then trying to end with a Pigomorph, just like we do here. That's going to be, in general, pretty strong for us and should allow us to find the win against most of these opponents. Except when they're Wombats in disguise, that they Wombats, Phoenix Feather, Croc, hatches a good boy. That's going to be tough to beat. Now, we actually destroy all of their other characters because their good boy is so large we can't take it out, and we kill everything else, and then we leave good boy with 13 health. So it's still super, super close. Good boy didn't actually wind up mattering that much, but it does mean we are going to want to add a little bit more power to the board. Cool move here, by the way. I get to pick up the, what is that called? Sherwood Sure Shot, throw a spell on it, and then Shard of the Ice Queen it, and that is cheaper than rolling. Pick up a Golden Chicken, by the way. That's always really good on Excalibur. That's just free econ. And then I see another Scion of the Storm, and like I said, I will have to cut Friendly Spirit in order to put that in, but at this point, I'm just thinking it's cool to play a bunch of Scions of the Storm, so I am going to wind up picking that up here, and then when I pick up these Hermes Beans, I'm realizing we can still get another Slay in with Aeon. That is kind of like the trade-off here, is I want to win these combats, and Aeon isn't that strong compared to all of the other units that I can play, so I might want to cut it at some point, which means I'm going to be able to cast less spells. But this looks good for now. APOC has turned into Goldilocks, and they're still trying to get away with scamming, but we just have so many large characters, and they can't scam them all. So we are going to be able to grab the win here. Let's see if they take out the Sporko. They do, but we also get to take them out, and then we are on to our rematch up against Godmother there. I'll pick up a little bit more HP, and then I'll pick up another Scion of the Storm. Why not? It's fun to play 4 upgraded Scions of the Storm. It's more just because when do you even get to do this that I figured it would be fun to try this out. And then I'm going to wind up cutting my Aeon for this final fight and just trying to play the strongest board that I possibly can. Going to pick up a Lonely Prince here so that we can cast some more spells. And I should note here, kind of funny, 3 pigs in this shop. What I should do is buy and sell the Golden Chicken. That would give us a little bit more econ. I just missed it. I wasn't thinking about it on this final turn here. Just going to wind up casting a few more spells here, and then, oh, I do actually buy and sell the Golden Chicken, but now we just don't have enough time to cast all of these spells. I'll finish off with the Genie's Wish, and let's see if this one is enough. The question is, what is going to be inside this Wombat, inside this Wombat, inside this Croc spell? So first, they resummon the Wombat with the Phoenix Feather, and then the Wombat cracks open to reveal a Blind Mouse. Definitely not as scary as Good Boy, though. Still pretty large, and we're still going to have to battle through it here. That's going to use a lot of our resources, but then the Scions stay strong and get us over the finish line. So a really fun one, and I thought just a really cool look at Hatless Horseman, as I was calling it. Mages, like I said, really, really strong on Headless. This Wizard's Familiar that's in the comp right now is the one that we picked up on turn 1. And more than that, the characters that we stole even stuck around for a little bit on the board. The happy little tree was in our hand, was also on our board for a while, helped us win the Wish Upon a Star, helped us do some other things. The friendly spirit we got off the Polywoggle that we purchased ourselves, technically, though some of the characters that we got around that to help us support it were obviously stolen from my opponents in the early game. But ultimately, I thought a really fun one to both look at a character, or a hero rather, that I don't always get to look at, and then also take a look at a bunch of upgraded Scions of the Storm in the endgame. That's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm No Lux Given. Peace.